No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mindell. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Put the panic buttons away. The Winnipeg Jets are back on the winning side of the ledger. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show with Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg. I'm your host, Drew Mindell, here tonight to discuss a very tidy 5-1 victory by the Winnipeg Jets, win number 30 in game number 47, as the team rights the ship after the 2-game losing streak with a comprehensive one-sided dominant victory over the Ottawa Senators. Gentlemen, good to see you both. It's been a whopping 10 hours since we last got together. I hope your lives have changed for the better in that 10-hour span.
Yeah, I had a couple of kids' birthday parties this afternoon. So
you've had a lot of cake.
Yeah, a lot of cake, a lot of cupcakes, a lot of Fanta. Yeah, a lot of loot bags, a lot of snot-nosed kids. But yeah, it was a nice little afternoon.
A lot of RSV.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of RSV. But yeah, you mentioned the word tidy. Definitely not the word I would use to describe my house at the moment. But it was absolutely a tidy victory, Drew. You're right. The Jets were basically in control of this game. I missed you as well, Spency. Yeah, the Jets were in control of this game, for the most part. And, the Senators, we talked about it on this morning show, right? Disappointing loss to the Penguins last night in Pittsburgh. The Senators just didn't have a pushback tonight, guys. And I think, that kind of resulted, in what we saw in the third period, but also what we saw from Brady Tkachuk, right? Like Brady Tkachuk, that's a frustrated captain, right? Like that's just a guy that, doesn't want to play the remaining 2.5 minutes because, Saku Manalainen, I don't know why he took it out on him, but, that play had nothing to do with the game. So give the Jets a lot of credit, especially Mark Scheifele, right? Has a huge game with a couple of goals. We talked about it. He wasn't good against the Leafs or the Habs. So you like to see that. You like to see Cole Perfetti. Even though, the game is completely out of reach at that point, you like to see, what was that, his first goal, Dave, I think in 14 games, right? So nice to see Perfetti get on the board and just overall, I mean, the Jets looked more like the team that we saw, before Christmas as opposed to the team, that we've seen lose a couple games and, come out with a stinker at home against the Coyotes, right? So overall, I think, that's the type of game that you wanted to see, Dave, after that disappointing loss on Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, it was key for this Jets club, once again, to stop it at 2. And that's what they've been able to do. And that's what they've prevented from happening throughout the course of this season, guys, is eliminating having a third loss when they're in a bit of a slide. So, I mean, and for all the people who are dumping on the Jets for losing to the Montreal Canadiens, well, the Toronto Maple Leafs had a 2-0 lead on Montreal, ended up losing in overtime to those Habs, as he called the goal, actually, while we were watching here at my place. But the point is, that the Jets weren't feeling good about.
Pitlick is obviously the first guy that you think of. Well, aside from Raphael Harvey-Pinard, Drew, who obviously is my new favorite player.
Your new favorite player by far.
He scored his first career NHL goal, and then Rem Pitlick scored in overtime. So obviously, that's how everyone thought that this game was going to unfold, right? Everyone had the Habs winning 5-4 in overtime with Pitlick scoring the winner.
Yeah, or 3-2. But anyways, regardless.
Is it 3-2? Sorry, I thought it was. I got confused. I thought it was 5-4.
Yeah.
3-2. There you go.
I could be wrong. I thought it was 3-2.
It was 3. It was 4-3. I think you're both wrong.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 4-3.
Was it though?
Well, I'll double check. You guys talk and I'll check.
No,
3-2. It was 3-2. You're right.
Drew, it's not a lie if you believe it.
Don't try and deny.
Truthiness.
The problem was when Ezzy said it, I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure it was 3-2. Then you questioned it. I was like, well, if you both think I'm wrong, then maybe don't ever question. Don't believe. Well, Ezzy comes sometimes, but Drew, I don't think so. Anywho, back to the Jets. I lost my train of thought. I got so excited. But
Rob posts a good question here. Why wasn't I invited to your house to watch the game? That's so mean. Drew is a very good and kind person. I think he should be treated nicer. Thank you very much, Rob. I appreciate the sentiment.
I like Ed McStinko's comment about you gaslighting me, because that's a reality. Thank you, Mr. McStinko, because Drew does gaslight us. Anywho, Rob, the reason that Drew wasn't invited was because we have a quota in this house. We're only allowed to have 2 people, and Ezzy and I are the 2, and so as a result, Drew is there. We have a very no.
Yeah, it's just simple numbers, Drew. I mean,
yeah, it's just a numbers game.
There's a lot of people that want to watch games here, but it's just simple numbers.
Smile and wave. First of all, Ezzy, let's smile and wave at the chat. Hi, chat. Nice to see you all. Smile and wave.
That was really for Dark Moon.
I know it was really for Dark Moon, but everyone else can appreciate it as well. The real reason I wasn't invited is like the State of the Union. There's always that one congressperson who's not allowed to attend the State of the Union in case catastrophe were to strike. That's what it's like with the Legal Curve. We can't have all 3 of us in the same room at the same time.
That's why
you're like the Matt Gaetz of a Legal Curve.
Thank you, Ezzy. That is probably the meanest thing you've ever said to me.
That's why, Drew, remember when we go to when Ezzy and I do the fishing show,
yes.
One of our shows in an ice palace on the Red River, Ezzy and I will be the 2 there. We'll be fishing, maybe Spencer Sutton. We'll see. Maybe we'll add some others. Maybe that's where we can have a live studio audience. But regardless, we'll be there, and you, just to keep you safe.
Yes.
We'll
stay in the electrical room.
Yeah, that's right. You'll be in another location just in case we need the Drew Mandel experience.
If you really want me to be safe, you should probably do something about this asbestos that's hanging around.
No, it's good. It's good. Just give it a sniff later.
Don't joke about that. I have that in my basement. It's
you have asbestos tile, as not
tile.
Asbestos.
Yes. And as long as you don't disturb it, it's fine. That's the difference there. Actually,
so I shouldn't have been hammering the asbestos tile last night. I had to take out some frustration somehow, Drew. So
you've actually been gnawing. You've been gnawing on it like a rat.
Anyways, let's get it back to hockey, guys. Come on, Drew, let's rein this.
Dave, I'm starting to think that Drew spent too much time in that electrical room.
Yeah, Drew, I'm a little concerned about the effects that it's had on you, but regardless, the Jets needed to overcome this as a team. That's what they were able to do. You took advantage of an Ottawa team, as he said, that was in Pittsburgh last night, that lost to Pittsburgh last night.
Yeah.
They've been losing to a lot of teams of late, and so you wanted the guys who haven't been playing optimally to step up, and that was Mark Scheifele, who had a better game. You had a lot of contributors on the ice for the Winnipeg Jets, and as he's right, like a guy like Cole Perfetti, even though he was, as I tweeted, a rather muted celebration for his goal. I mean, what's he going to do? He's not going to celebrate. It was like his 1,000th point, given the fact that it was a 5-1 goal. But it just goes to show you that these guys, you needed those guys contributing. And Adam Lowry was actually going to score to make it 4-1, but then he remembered in his head that Ezzy said he was going to get a shorthanded goal. That was 5-on-5. So he was like, I don't think so. Not going to do it.
Well, we talked about this morning on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, and if you missed it, we encourage you to go back and watch it again or download the podcast edition of it. It was about 12 hours ago now. We talked about, and you don't see his name on the scoreboard here. He didn't get on the score sheet tonight, but we talked about Pierre-Luc Dubois and how the Senators really shouldn't be able to handle him given their young defense, and he was a beast out there tonight. For the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, the Jets controlled this game top to bottom, and the Jets' best players were better than the Senators' best players. But Pierre-Luc Dubois, for a guy whose name isn't going to get called as we go through the Betway game recap, because didn't get a goal, didn't get an assist, but he was
you know what he did have? 8 minutes and 29 seconds of power play time. I repeat, 8 minutes and 29 seconds of power play time. I mean, there were a lot of guys on the Jets that were over 7 minutes, but he led all players. Like, to me, that's like 8 minutes and 29 seconds. Like, that's a period of ice time for a good player.
Well, because they couldn't handle the Jets down low, and they kept taking penalty after penalty. And Pierre-Luc Dubois, drew a number of those penalties. And at 5-on-5, there were just opportunities where he would just bust in. And the Senators, when young defensemen, they're not small, but they just don't have the man strength that he has. And they just didn't have an answer for him tonight. They didn't have an answer for a lot of the Winnipeg Jets players tonight, as the 5-1 score is indicated. But I mean, the truth is, this is a 3-1 game after 20 minutes. It's a 1-1 game. A 3-1 game after 40 minutes. It's a 1-1 game after 20. So Ottawa, despite not really playing well, is, conceivably in this game. And then you look at the third period where the Senators, who, you're expecting a push, you're expecting some sort of answer or some sort of attempt to get back into the game.
There was no push.
There was no push. The Jets just didn't give them an opportunity whatsoever. 13-5 were the shots on goal in the third period. I mean, the Jets had 75% of the possession in the third period. I mean, the Jets just
at 5-on-5, right?
At 5-on-5, of course. I'm only talking 5-on-5 in that instance. The Jets just impose their will on a weaker opponent, and that's what you want to see a team do, a team that hasn't really been playing that well as of late, a team that's been struggling a little bit. They just went and they said, no, this isn't going to be a collapse. There's not going to be any sort of comeback here tonight. We're just going to take this win very neat and tidy and head over to Philadelphia, where we're going to have to do battle again tomorrow.
No, that's a good point. You were definitely, I mean, look at, like, is there anything more degrading than that power play unit that came out for the Jets at the end, right? Like Kevin Stenlund and Axel Jonsson-Fjällby and Saku Maenalainen. But I mean, what is Rick Bowness? What is he going to say? Oh, Pierre-Luc, you only have 8.5 minutes of power play time tonight. Do you want an extra, 45 seconds? Like, the score is 5-1. So obviously,
he had to take it easy on his son. I mean, Rick Bowness had to take it easy on Ryan, who of course is the assistant general manager of the Ottawa Senators. He doesn't want to, he's going to get cut off of grandson time if he beats up his son's team too much. That was actually a very cute photo of Rick Bowness with his family and his grandson earlier. The Jets tweeted out.
Yeah, and you can relate to that because you're a grandfather as well, right, Drew? So, yeah, like, look at, and yeah, shout out to Ryan Bowness, who we talked to Eric Dubois earlier today about Ryan Bowness, who was a member of the Jets organization as a pro scout, right? And I think was he manager of team services before that, Dave? I believe he was.
I don't think he was ever a scout for the Jets. I thought he was just was he a scout? I thought he was the manager of team services and then went to be a scout for the Penguins.
Okay, there you go. And he has a Stanley Cup ring with them, I believe, as well, right? So am I right on that?
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
I was for a second there, I had to pause, but I believe he does have a Stanley Cup ring. Yeah. So good for Ryan. And yeah, I mean, that family stuff is what really hockey is all about, right? Like, the game on the ice matters, but we always talk about how much there's so much more to it than that, right? But yeah, to go back to what Drew was saying before, like, this Senators team, even though, like, Alex DeBrincat and Claude Giroux have done exactly what you've expected them to do, they've struggled, and they weren't that noticeable tonight, guys, right? Like, Brady Tkachuk and Josh Norris, to me, were easily, the two best forwards, and you saw Brady Tkachuk earlier in the game had a great chance. And look at, I mean, Hellebuck had one of those games where he was making it look easy out there, right? Like, you got the feeling, and you're right, Drew, it was a two-goal game. But in that, I don't think anybody watching that game really thought that game was in danger for the Jets to lose it, right? So yeah, this was exactly how you wanted to play this road game, especially considering that you lost the first two, and now you go into Philadelphia and you had a pretty easy. So it's the second game of back-to-back, but it wasn't a hard first game of a back-to-back, right? Like, you coasted through the third period. Because Ottawa just, they had nothing left in the tank. So I think this game probably went just as good as you would have, written it up in the dressing room.
Well, Dave, we can't talk about this game without talking about the penalty kill, because that was a storyline coming in. Ottawa had I think it was the 4th ranked power play in the NHL entering tonight's game, going up against the Jets' 2nd ranked penalty kill. And, you take away the Morgan Barron roughing penalty, that when the game was already out of hand at that point, the Senators had 4 power play opportunities when the game was within reach. And the Jets didn't give up a goal. And, that speaks volumes about just how good this Jets penalty kill has been. I mean, you remember that, the Senators had good control in that early third period power play, the Neil Pionk interference one, which came at the 6:42 mark of the third period. The Senators had control, and they had good zone time, and they had Brady Tkachuk set up, a couple times from the slot in a high danger area. And he missed on both of those times, but the Jets also deserve credit for keeping the Senators' power play, a very good power play, at bay. And whereas the Jets get 2 power play goals, the last one obviously being fairly insignificant, the Jets don't give up anything, and the good PK beats the good power play in tonight's game.
Yeah, and it was interesting because that became a subject of conversation today in the pregame media availability. By the way, the difference between Toronto and Ottawa, total of 5 questions in today's media availability. I'm pretty sure 3 of them were about Ryan Bowness. So it was a little different in Ottawa than it was with the 17 questions and the heavy level of redundancy folks of the storylines. And again, I'm just joking, but it's just funny how like there's a significant disparity between the two. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that was talked about in today's media availability was the penalty kill. And I thought actually the way Rick Bowness talked about it was very interesting, because he essentially said, look, it's 5-on-5. And of course he means because you have a goaltender there. And he goes, we know with Connor Hellebuck, the types of shots we're willing to give up on the penalty kill. And he knows where that opening is going to be. So he's got to be ready for that, to be maximum, knowing that it's him, between him and the opposition. And I just thought it was an interesting insight into the way they're attacking on the penalty kill. And clearly what they're doing is working, because they've been exceptional on the PK. And that's huge, obviously, to not give up free points. And we know the Jets power play has been working of late. That's where they've been getting their goals. So for the Jets power play, but obviously your question was about the penalty kill, Drew.
Yeah.
And it's huge. It just is huge, because look, it started off that they started the game with all the momentum on the power play, right? They got all the power plays. Ottawa didn't, and they weren't able to really create anything. But sure enough, then the Senators, when they get that opportunity, they don't score. And of course, that's significant for the Jets.
Yeah, no question about it. Just a quick thing before we get into the Betway game recap. You mentioned the media scrums and the media availabilities. I'm not sure if you guys saw Daryl Sutter after the game in Calgary today. Jacob Pelletier played his first game.
Yeah, we saw it.
Flames. It's just
that's been blown out of proportion. It's just
you don't have to be rude in life. This is a nice moment.
I don't think he was trying to be rude. I honestly don't, but maybe I'm wrong there. I feel like he was trying to be. I think he was just being himself. Like are you talking about how he was reading the stats?
Well, he pretended he didn't know who the guy was. He's like,
but I think that's what I really don't. Of course, he knows who he is.
Well, if that was a joke, it didn't come off that way.
That's kind of what I was going for, right?
Fair
because
enough.
Drew, how long have we're almost hitting 14 years of doing the show, and he was doing that stuff when he was the LA Kings head coach, right? I agree. Maybe it was like in poor taste, right? But I really do think, like, when I saw that and people were going nuts, I was like, isn't that just Daryl Sutter being Daryl Sutter?
I don't know. There's times where you can be Daryl Sutter and you can be a curmudgeon, and there's also times you can throw a kid a bone.
From one curmudgeon to another.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I know curmudgeon, and there's times when
you do know curmudgeon.
Yeah, I can take my curmudgeonly nature and put it aside and be and say, hey, good for you, nice job, well done. Important milestone, important moment for you. And sometimes maybe Daryl Sutter should be able to do that. Do the
okay,
same.
but let me just make one observation, because I don't really care one way or another, to be honest with you. But I will say, like, the only thought I had watching it is I could understand people's reaction to that. But I also get the sense that Daryl Sutter is basically like, let's just pump the brakes, because look, the kid was having a phenomenal season in the AHL.
Right.
And I think what happened was, I just think he just wants, like, he said he's 21 years old. There's a long ways for him to go. And I just think he is not a huge media guy, although did a great feature on him. What was it, 2 months ago? Sportsnet did a great feature on him. But I really think he's just trying to get everybody to pump the brakes on a kid that they're trying to get overly excited about, maybe in Calgary. That's the impression. I think the number thing was a bit weird. I agree with you in that regard, Drew. But I just think he was just trying to protect the player and say, let's not try and create a heap of expectations on this kid. He's 21. He's getting his first NHL game. Let's chill.
Fair enough. Let's get into
I think we should chill on that comment. I just don't it's just whatever.
Let's get into it. The Betway game recap.
I'm with you, Ez. But hold on, just before we go, Darwin, I think it's both Darwins now, but they're curling. They just finished curling. He's with his group. He wants a smile and a wave. So come on, IC, let's do it. Saturday night, little smile and wave. So
there you go. Smile and wave, everybody. We're smiling and waving at everybody, even though we've done it a couple times now. Assume that if you ask for a smile and wave, assume that we've already smiled and waved back at you in the course of today's post game show. The Betway game recap, which we're about to start, is brought to you by Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. With a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds, what are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. The Winnipeg Jets opened the scoring, and that's important on a game like tonight, where the team maybe isn't full of confidence as they have been in previous games. They get the opening goal. It comes at the 6:58 mark off the stick of Nikolai Ehlers, his 4th of the year. Assist to Josh Morrissey and Mark Scheifele. Just a tremendous pass by Josh Morrissey, executing that vision that we've seen him have on display so often this year. But it starts on a good board battle. The Jets win the board battle, and that's what sort of creates the time and space and really is the catalyst for Morrissey to be able to hit Ehlers with the beautiful pass to make it 1-0 for the Jets, Ezzy.
Yeah, you summed it up well there. It's a give and go between Ehlers and Morrissey. And what you love is that, Morrissey, everybody knows that he's having, the Norrisy-like season. And, he knows that the Senators have to worry about him as a shooter. And then he gets that puck right back to Ehlers, who goes right to the net. And, it's just soft defensive coverage by the Senators, to be honest with you. But yeah, just a beauty pass by Morrissey right on the tape. And Ehlers has the wide open net. Anton Forsberg has absolutely no chance. So it was a beautiful power play goal.
Exactly. And that's how the Jets want to start the game, Dave. That's exactly what they needed to against an Ottawa team that really the Jets should be able to take control of. And that's how the Jets obviously did start, by opening the scoring, but it didn't last that long. And this one was a bang one. If you've ever seen one, Josh Norris, his second, we talked about him this morning, returning to the Senators lineup. Claude Giroux wins the clean face-off from Adam Lowry and puts it right onto the stick of Norris. And you blink for a second, and it's past Connor Hellebuyck, tying the game at 1. I know I've seen a lot in the last 24, 48, 72 hours about how face-offs maybe aren't as important as people put credit on to them. And I can see how face-offs over the course of an entire season everything regresses pretty close to the mean in that instance. But this is an example or an instance where a face-off matters, because Giroux wins it cleanly onto Norris's stick, and that's what ties the game at 1.
Yeah, and you don't really blame Connor Hellebuyck for this one, because it was a clean win. And I think they said, what did they say, as it was like 1.5 seconds between puck drop and into the back of the net. So I mean, that's just one of those situations where a guy gets open and you can't lock up the stick, either the shooter or of the face off. And so in the end, it goes against you. So I mean, you don't love it if you're the Jets, because you've been playing fairly well to that point. And in the end, you end up now tied 1-1. But you're kind of also thinking, like, is Ottawa really just going to have a good first period, and then they're going to kind of go in the tank based on the fact that, they played last night in Pittsburgh. So, look, you don't want to give it up, obviously, but it's one of those ones that if you're going to give up a goal, it's probably the one, again, as you just said, Drew, not something ideal, because the Jets, from a face-off perspective, haven't been great as a team. And that's one of the areas of concern for this Jets club. But I mean, I at the same time, you don't see that happen very often.
No, you don't. You don't see goals like that very often. I mean, that was an absolute, that's just clean as clean can be, and it tied the game up at 1. And that's how the first period ended, with each team having scored 1 goal, shots on goal 9-8. It was a pretty decent period for the Jets, I'd say, by and large. They came ready to play. Sometimes when you're playing that team that's on the second half of a back-to-back, they're ready to go before you are, because they still have the muscle memory from the night before. But I thought the Jets, were pretty good from the start of the game, which is something that you've obviously wanted to see them improve on. And they were better, of course, in Toronto as well on Thursday from the face-off. Montreal, the less said about that game, the better. 1-1 at that point. Mark Scheifele gives the Jets a 2-1 lead at the 5-minute mark of the second period. Kyle Connor and Nate Schmidt with the assists. This is our Seagram's shot of the game. This goal by Mark Scheifele. Seagram's is the proud distributor of Fireball. Tastes like heaven, burns like hell. Did you guys not bring anything?
No.
No?
Well, I mean, I've got Fireball downstairs.
Drew, is there something you want to talk about?
No, it's the shot of the game.
Drew, remember, Ezzy's got to be responsible. He's at my house right now, so he's not going to.
He doesn't have to drink an entire bottle. He doesn't.
Have you met Ezzy before?
Fair enough.
I'm a little bit worried that we had the Leafs game on Thursday night where Drew did his shot of Fireball, but Tuesday night against the Montreal Canadiens, Drew had his big red bottle of wine out. So I'm just, okay, you're going hard. I like it. No, obviously we love it. I'm just worried that you're going to run out of Fireball, Drew, before the playoffs start.
Wow, that is certainly
That's
something
why our friends at Seagram's will help us get some more.
That's right. Our friends at Seagram's are exactly going to look after us. And I hope that you folks, when you're making your responsible decisions when it comes to alcohol, are going to support our friends at Seagram's accordingly and maybe swig some Fireball, just like I do.
Well, Dave and I can't swig any Fireball, Drew, because you've got all of it in your belly right now.
No, Dave's got bottles of it in the basement, as they're right next to you, for God's sakes.
He's got wooden barrels of Fireball.
I'm pretty sure he's
basement.
brewing it in the basement. I'm sure he's an unofficial Seagram's production plant going on.
I was
over
wondering
there.
why, like, Drew, that Dave had so much cinnamon. I'm like, why do you have like 20 liters of cinnamon in your fridge? Like, what's going on? You definitely don't refrigerate cinnamon, by the way.
You do not refrigerate cinnamon. No, that would probably not be the best course of action. In any event, Mark Scheifele, it's his 27th. As I said, Connor and Schmidt on the assist, and it's a bit of a fortuitous play by the Jets here, in that Tim Stützle, or I guess it started with who was the defenseman who lost the stick?
Thomas Chabot, 72.
There you go.
And it was, no, but you were right to say Stützle.
Yeah, because he gave him the stick.
How good is Stützle, by the way? I was talking about him on the
Really
morning
good.
show. Like, I know he didn't score tonight, but this guy is a really good player. So you were right about Stützle handing Chabot the stick, but it was too late because by that point, Kyle Connor gets the. Let's just break down this goal. To me, is all Kyle Connor. Like, obviously, Scheifele gets the goal here, but Connor has 3 different Senators players that are paying attention to him, and nobody's paying attention to Mark Scheifele, and it's completely wide open. So Connor starts it off. He's the one with the zone entry and uses his speed and backs everybody off. And you have to respect him because he has such a great release and shot. We talked about that this morning with John Mattis, who wrote about Connor for the score, right? So to me, this goal is just all Kyle Connor. And, Scheifele is left completely wide open because the Senators, again, just didn't look very good in their defensive zone, giving the Jets way too much time and space, particularly on this goal.
Well, so on the broadcast, I thought Gary Galley, did a good job here talking about how, in the previous times, a player loses a stick, he just stays on the ice and tries to fight through it before heading to the bench. The new wave of thinking for a lot of teams is, if you're short a stick, if you lose a stick, just make a beeline for the bench immediately, even if that leaves you shorthanded 5-on-4 for a brief moment or two. And that's what Stützle did, is he just made a beeline for the bench. Clearly, I guess that's how the Senators are taught. That's what DJ Smith, the Senators coach, wants his players to do, is you lose the stick, go to the bench, somebody will either come on or toss you a stick. But in this case, him going to the bench really is what helped create the gap for the seam pass that Scheifele put behind Anton Forsberg, Dave.
Yeah, and what I was going to, you're right, Drew, absolutely, and it's one of those things. Again, got to give Kyle Connor credit. That was his 400th point of his career. What is he at? 201 goals, 199 assists. I mean, he's just a remarkable player that continues to produce for this Jets club. And Ezzy, you're right. It's ironic that we talked to John Mattis about it today on the show, because it just goes to show you, like, the guy just produces and produces and produces, and he just doesn't get that recognition because, you could see it, and Ez broke it down beautifully. Every Senator's head was like watching Kyle Connor, watching what he's doing, and sure enough, it leaves a guy like Mark Scheifele, who's a little dangerous in his own right, wide open, and gives him the ability to put that goal home. And so, the Jets have that lead, and they're feeling good about themselves because you can feel that momentum a little bit starting to shift in the Jets' favor.
Just on the topic of that, I agree with you, Drew. There's definitely been things have changed. Like, you're 100% right. The old school thinking is your stick's broken, get off the ice. It doesn't even matter like what's happening on the ice. Just like beeline to the bench. Mm-hmm. But there has to be some situational awareness. The thing with that goal is that it's like Stützle that's the right thing to do. You've got to give your defenseman the stick there. But Jacob Bernard Docker, it's not on him either, because Blake Wheeler drives to the net there. So Bernard Docker takes his man. The other guy's on the line, on Stützle's line, right? The line is Tkachuk, Stützle, Batherson. So it's up to Batherson at that point to then take Scheifele, right? Because Stützle is not in a position. So again, I agree with what you're saying, but in that particular case, the Senators just didn't cover Scheifele very well. I think they were caught puck watching Kyle Connor, which, by the way, you can understand. Kyle Connor is tearing up the NHL right now. But again, it's just, we talked about it. I mean, the Senators, they have a lot of skill, a lot of talent, but this team just isn't there right now, guys. Like, they're just not, mainly defensively, in my opinion, but also they don't score enough goals. Like we talked about that. They're 25th in the NHL in goals scored right now. So again, I think the Senators a few years from now will be really good. And, I just think right now they're a long ways away, even with guys like DeBrincat and Giroux coming in, Dave. You got to, and I do think, a new coach is needed. Nothing against DJ Smith. I just think, he's had his time there. I just don't think you need to move this team forward. This team next year should definitely be a playoff team. But this year, I mean, there's no chance they're going to be a playoff team. And on that goal, it was just, again, too much time and space for the Jets.
Yeah, time and space for the Jets was the story of the night tonight by and large. The Jets make it 3-1, 8 minutes and 9 seconds later, 13:09 mark of the second period. Blake Wheeler, right place, right time for him. His 12th of the year, assist to Ehlers and Neil Pionk. And this is just the Jets, dominating the Senators. I mean, the defensemen for the Senators, Shabbat and Bernard Docker are trapped on the ice for what? 3 minutes? Something like ridiculous like that, where it's icing after icing. I think they were able to make one. They were able to get one of their players off. So 4 out of the 5 of the Senators were on the ice for multiple minutes in a row and just had nothing in the tank. And the Jets just absolutely played a keep away from them. And eventually, the shot by Ehlers, gets through and it ricochets off of Wheeler and into the net. It's just a function of the Jets just were in such total control on this sequence of shifts, multiple shifts in a row, that they finally eventually get rewarded, which is what they did here to make it 3-1, which is where it was after 40 minutes, Dave.
Yeah, and look, it was the most dominating shift of the game, really, by the Jets, and they were getting guys on, but they were not allowing the Senators to make a change, and so you felt that tide again. I said that earlier, that the tide was turning, but you could really feel it on that shift, right? As like that, Ottawa just had no answer. They couldn't stop the Jets. The Jets were relentless, and they gave them themselves the opportunity to continue to control that play, and then eventually Pionk takes the shot, which is blocked, goes right to Ehlers. And yeah, look, Blake Wheeler's in the right place at the right time. Did he have to do anything for that goal? No, he didn't.
And you saw the smirk on his face a little bit.
Yeah, he knew. I mean, it's as close to a Blake Wheeler empty net goal as he's going to get, really, because I mean, he made there was no talent other than being in the right place at the right time, which I guess you would say is a talent. Some guys don't know where to be, but I mean, that was that goal. I'm not going to say it sealed the deal, because of course it was only 3-1, but you could just feel that at that point the Jets were in fairly, I would say, complete control of that hockey game.
Yeah, they were. I mean, 3-1 was the score. How many posts did the Jets have, in addition to this?
Well,
I mean,
Morrissey,
Connor,
and Perfetti as well.
Yeah.
Crossbar. So 3.
So, I mean, this was
and Lowry. And Lowry hit the 2 posts.
That's right. Lowry came right
after,
seconds after this Wheeler goal. He comes in, beats Forsberg, but just slides it right along the goal line, and he beats him and then slides it out the other side. So he was very close, of course, to finally getting off the schneid he's on when it comes to scoring goals. But it's 3-1 for the Jets at this point after 40 minutes, and like we talked about. Are the Senators going to have that push? Because they had the opportunity. The Jets, ran into a little bit of penalty trouble before they were able to put the game away. Pionk takes an interference penalty at 6:42. Mark Scheifele takes a tripping penalty at 11:06. And the Jets, I mean, the tripping penalty came after with Stützle in the box, so it was a 4-on-4, and then it was a short power play for the Senators. But the Jets killed what? 20-30 seconds of that short power play just by controlling the puck and not letting the Senators have any control of it. There was no fight from the Senators. They finally decided to fight after the game was well out of hand, when Scheifele made it 4-1 with the his 28th, his second of the game, assist to Axel Jonsson-Fjällby and Blake Wheeler. And it's just, I mean, it's a great play. It's a great pass by Axel Jonsson-Fjällby, and it's a great net drive by Mark Scheifele. But the defending on this is horrible. It starts behind the Jets' net. Connor Hellebuyck leaves it for, I think it was Pionk, who headmans it up to Ehlers, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm getting my my defenseman incorrect on this. It might have been actually
Scheifele.
Stamberg. Say that again, Ezzy?
I don't remember which defenseman had the outlet pass, but it was Scheifele. The outlet pass. We're talking about the 4-1 goal.
Yeah, the 4-1 goal.
Yeah, it was Scheifele who brings the puck over. I forget if it was which defenseman it was.
I think it was Sandberg. I think it was Sandberg to Schmidt to Scheifele. But it started 200 feet away.
Yeah,
and there was like the Senators were just playing so laissez-faire. The Jets weren't pressured at all on this at all.
No, it wasn't. You're right. It wasn't an odd man situation. It became an odd man situation, but it was 3-on-3. And you're absolutely right. Like, it's a beautiful pass by Janssen Fialbi, right on the tape of Scheifele. And Wheeler deserves a lot of credit. And you mentioned the defensive coverage. It was Thomas Chabot and Jacob Bernard-Docker again. So Chabot is your best defenseman, and Bernard-Docker, he's a young defenseman, but he's still very talented. But I just didn't think they were sharp tonight. And again, second game of a back-to-back. So you always do have to mention that. Like, and, shift length for sure. Like, the Senators were caught out there. It wasn't just on, the last goal that we talked about that the Jets scored. Several times it just looked like the Senators, like they weren't able to get off the ice, and then give the credit to the Jets here. But, so Wheeler draws both Bernard-Docker and Chabot to him. And I don't remember who the forward was that was covering Scheifele, but he obviously, didn't get back in time. So yeah, nice pass by Janssen Fialbi, and really good work, Dave, by Blake Wheeler to draw Chabot. When he cuts across and drops the pass to Fialbi, he caused Bernard-Docker and Chabot to both go to him. So, Wheeler deserves a lot of credit for his work on that goal as well.
Yeah, and that made it 4-1. I mean, it was.
I guess Dave had nothing to add to that. Dave looked like he was deep in thought.
I think Dave's tweeting. He's doing.
I was tweeting to telling more people to join the chat. It's Saturday night. Drew's drinking Fireball. Ezzy was making great points, which I was listening to. But I was trying to get a tweet in as well, knowing that I would have.
Dave, in a conversation, there has to be two people conversing.
Yes,
either way, it's just Drew's monologue.
Yeah. Yes. For the record, I'm the one drinking Fireball. Ezzy's the one wearing the Fireball toque. So I mean, I'm at least practicing what I preach.
I've got the Fireball lights in my house.
There you go. There you guys go. It's a Fireball heavy Saturday evening edition of the Illegal Curve post game show. We'll be back again tomorrow night. Not that we're going anywhere just yet. We still have more of this fine program. But as a reminder, we're going to do it all again tomorrow night, 8:45 p.m. again, similar time frame to tonight, following tomorrow evening's Jets Flyers.
How many 6 o'clock starts in a row is this now?
All the Eastern games. Don't worry, Ezzy. Those 10, 11 o'clock starts will be soon enough.
I think there's another there's one more West Coast trip that's got a couple late games. I think in March.
Yeah, I don't know.
If I looked at the calendar, but yeah, no. After tomorrow night's game, it's getting back to normal because you got 7 o'clock on Tuesday. 7 o'clock on
Flyers
Tuesday.
game next Saturday.
You know what I was doing at the start of the second period? Chasing Ruben around. That's what I was doing.
And then although the Jets the third period, he was chasing you around, so it was fun for everybody.
On February 11th, when the Jets get back
9
in action
o'clock.
it's a 9 o'clock start here in Winnipeg. That's
the first time they finally are doing it. They did it during. Sorry, that's not true. They did 9 o'clock home starts during COVID. When there's nobody in the crowd, so it didn't matter.
Speak for yourself. I was there.
Yeah, okay, fine. And I went to. I think I went to the Habs game. I think it was a 9 o'clock game. During COVID, the empty arena season. But 9 o'clock home game against the Chicago Blackhawks. I guess that's 3 weeks from today. The Saturday, February 11th, it'll be a 9 p.m. Start time, which is the first time the Jets have had the late game.
Chicago's a great hockey team.
Hey, they scored 3 goals on 6 shots today against the St. Louis Blues.
They're beating St. Louis last I saw.
Then they scored a fourth goal. They scored a fourth goal and chased Binnington from the net. Although
you couldn't pay me to watch that game.
Oh no, terrible.
Yeah, Andrew Page is asking in the chat, wait, that 9 p.m. is an actual start time?
It's an actual start. It makes no sense.
Yeah. I don't think it doesn't bother me to do it once.
No, it doesn't bother me either. It just doesn't make sense, really.
It's unusual. It is unusual. I think it's fun.
It's definitely unusual. But I've been advocating for it. I think it'll make for a fun atmosphere. Maybe it's not the game that
you know what I've been advocating?
It's really conducive to people who drink Fireball, I'll tell you that much.
You know what they should do, which I've been advocating for years?
The doubleheader.
Moose game in the afternoon, Jets game at night. Now that would be that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
It's overdue. Trust me.
We'll pitch it to Mark and then he'll call the cops.
Like, how'd you guys get
How
in
did
here?
you get this number is exactly what he's going to say in that instance. The Jets wrap up the scoring on the power play at the 18-17 mark of the third period. Cole Perfetti, his 7th assist to Ehlers and Wheeler. It's nice for Perfetti to get a goal, but boy, the Ottawa Senators were just waiting desperately to get off the ice. They had Anton Forsberg can't give this goal up, but it doesn't really matter because it makes it 5-1 rather than 4-1. But the Senators really just no-showed in the third period. That was a young team that ran out of gas after 40 minutes, and they, the shots in the third period, 13-5. The Jets controlling 75% of the possession. Ottawa couldn't wait for that game to end. And you saw it in their performance, I'd say, in the third period, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about that celebration from Cole Perfetti, guys? That was one of the better celebrations I've ever seen. Yeah, very
like
boisterous.
Whoa.
Yeah. I was like,
Calm
Cole,
down,
it's a
Cole.
5-1 game, Cole. Let's save that for the playoffs. But obviously, I've been on that bandwagon the whole year. I love
you
how
have
Cole,
actually.
I love how Cole, he just scores and little fist bump, or he doesn't jump up against the glass, or doesn't throw his glove up in the air like Solani, right? So absolutely love that. And Perfetti, he's been getting his chances. We talked about it. What did he hit? 1 post or crossbar. 2 post, right? So I mean, that's absolute crossbar. So that's absolutely, though, a goal that Forsberg's got to save. But honestly, I think he mailed it in like the rest of the team.
Yeah, they definitely.
And you know what? That it is good for his confidence. I mean, regardless, like as he said, you're getting your chances, which is good. And he's looked better of late. And remember, he's coming off of dealing with an injury, but he definitely looked better in tonight's game. And I don't care if it's against the Senators. You want to start to get those good feelings again, right? That's what we always talk about. How players who are, especially ones who are goal scorers or contributors, they don't, obviously going a long period of time without contributing is detrimental to them. So being able to get it, I don't care if it's against the Ottawa Senators, gets them feeling good about it and gets them that confidence back. What do you talk about with Eric Dubois and the need for confidence, right? Especially with younger players. So when they get it back, even if it is at the end of a game, still a goal in the NHL, and that's what he's going to have that memory of, and he'll be feeling about it tomorrow when they go to Philly.
Exactly right. And that'll be the next battle for the Winnipeg Jets tomorrow evening in the city of brotherly love, which is going hog wild, I'm sure, as the Eagles, last I saw, were up, I think, 27-0 on the Giants. So the Eagles. Well,
obviously, the Giants didn't have any water in their hotel.
I missed that.
Apparently, I just saw it on Twitter when I was at the Moose game, I think, but that someone was saying that the water was knocked out of the hotel and they had no running water in the Giants hotel. And we were like, yes, it's a mistake. Like,
just a very localized mistake. It just happened to be
one hotel, period.
I wonder if Philly Dan had anything to do with that.
Yeah, good friend Philly Dan.
It's true. I'm sure Philly Dan is excited about the Eagles' performance tonight. The Jets and the Flyers will do battle tomorrow night. That has been the Betway game recap here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's simple, fun, and safe to bet with Betway, so head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. When we come back, some quotes. Dave's eating a chocolate bar, apparently. Some quotes.
It was awful.
Is that a crunchy?
Dave, it's your chocolate bar.
Yeah, nobody. This is the one you got from the
NHL.
Yeah, the NHL guys at the arena.
And he gave me. Well, actually, it's not that bad. Kind of growing on me a little bit. I'll take another bite.
There you
go.
I
could have a bite. I'll give Ezzy the rest.
Dave, I was going to say, I'll come upstairs and I'll finish it off.
I felt bad though
because he looked upstairs.
I got a look today at the Moose game, so I was like, okay, I promise, I'll try it. I'll do it. I don't think you want
all the chocolate bars. That would not be in my top 10 chocolate bars I would purchase.
Save it for after the break. Shenanigans, contests, more on tonight's Jets victory over the Ottawa Senators. Saturday night, it's the Illegal Curve post-game show. Don't go anywhere. We're live on YouTube and all of our social media platforms.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up, Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
Wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come on, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time. Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com. For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. The Illegal Curve post-game show rolls on this Saturday night. Now, Ginsburg's eating a chocolate bar as well. You didn't bother to...
For the record, he's eating the same chocolate bar.
That sounds about right. You didn't get the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment together, did you? No, you're too busy eating a chocolate bar. So maybe you can do that while I read this comment from Rick Bonus talking about the Jets' best players, and it gives me a thumbs up because he's got chocolate in his mouth. It's actually
I did just have the cleaning lady, so I mean, try and get not to get crumbs everywhere there is.
Well, I mean,
by the way, I'm talking about my mom.
Wow, not touching that one, Dave. Rick Bonus talking about his best player stepping up and being the best player in tonight's game. He says, we challenged them this morning because we needed a little bit more out of them. They responded. They certainly did. 3-point nights for Scheifele, Ehlers, and Wheeler. Assists for Connor and Morrissey. And, of course, we talked about Pierre-Luc Dubois' impact earlier during the post-game show as he was absolutely a force to be reckoned with. But, look, when you're a top-heavy team like the Jets are, you need your best players to step up and be the best players night in and night out more often than not. There are obviously times where you're bottom of the lineup guys can step up and do some things and get some goals and contribute. But the best player for the Jets to be a successful team, they do need to be their best, and the best players need to be their best players than they were tonight. I'm glad that Ezra is now eating more of the chocolate bar rather than less of the chocolate
and
bar.
most people would say, okay, well, I'm going to cut a little piece of that chocolate bar off. Where Dave took a bite, not our Ezzy. He just right into that thing.
Just swallows it whole like the duck that he is, right there, Dave. In any event, have you done chewing? Have you
Guys,
swallowed?
you don't reach 250 pounds by accident, okay? Like, you have to work for it. So I don't mind this crunchy. Like, again, it's not my top chocolate bar choice, but I've been enjoying it. It's been nice.
Yeah, it caught me off guard. I wasn't sure what to expect, but now he's drinking some water. But
This is a hell of a broadcast.
Love that Dasani.
Really? You can't just drink tap water?
It's a fancy guy.
We drink tap water at home.
Okay.
I feel like you guys are like a Culligan family.
No, we're not. We have water. We drink tap water.
Yeah, we drink tap water. We've got delicious, beautiful water here coming from Shoal Lake in Manitoba.
Yes.
Some of the best, I think, drinking water in the world, actually.
Yes, exactly. So that's why I don't need, a Culligan.
No, but once in a while I have, I enjoy a Dasani or a Fiji.
Wow. Fiji. Wow, those are expensive. Somebody's doing well.
Hey, no big deal. I may or may not have been to the well in France where where was it Aquafina? No, what was the fancy water? Evian. That's right. Yeah, I was there.
Okay, I was going to be more impressed if you said you've been to Fiji, but I guess there's still aspirational goals for you.
Fiji.
My friend Dan Harrison went to Fiji. It's very close to New Zealand. He was living in New Zealand, and he told me that Fiji's a super cool place. So I'd like to go there one day.
Yeah, you're not allowed out of the country, so I'm sure there's you got a long way.
They reverted your passport.
I'll be actually going to Miami, Manitoba instead.
Yeah, exactly. If that, they're gonna boot you out of there. I'm pretty sure they have a restraining order against you as well there. In any event, that is what's going on. Some other comments from the Jets dressing room. Mark Scheifele talking about Nikolai Ehlers. Quote, "It's awesome. He's a fantastic player for us. He played great for us too. We're still only a few games in from him coming back, so we still have more and more to come." More on Scheifele creating time in the Senators zone tonight. No team wants to play in their D zone for a long period of time. And we had a few shifts where it felt like a minute, 2 minutes of sustained pressure, rolling guys off the bench. They certainly did. So there's some comments from the Winnipeg Jets dressing room.
Didn't need to be read, Drew.
Yeah, well, sometimes nor did your
that was a nothing burger.
Yeah, well, here's the last one. Rick Bowness on Pierre-Luc Dubois. He's a force out there with or without the puck, but you give him the puck along the boards. Good luck trying to get it away from him. Following up saying, quote, "He's a powerful man and he's playing hard and we love what he's doing at both ends of the ice." So there's some of the post-game comments from the Winnipeg Jets dressing room. Both the Jets and the Manitoba Moose were victorious in action today, so we'd be remiss if we didn't do the following.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
That's your cue, Dave.
Well, hello. What do we have here? Little thing called the Minuk Moose Minute. Well, what happened there, Drew?
I was trying to put you on the big screen. I wasn't sure how to get it so that you'd be at the focus.
You scared me for a second. I was like, what is going on? Why are you suddenly much more in focus than you needed to be? Anyways, the Moose in action in front of a lot of folks at Canada Life because it was the 2000s game, and a lot of those players who were born in the 2000s are now playing for Manitoba.
And
what?
Come on. Minor hockey weekend, Dave.
Oh, minor hockey weekend. Sorry, brought to you by Hockey Manitoba.
Thank you.
Of course. Good. A lot. And I got to tell you, Ezzy, tons of kids at the game today.
Yep.
Tons of kids.
I told you. I instructed them to all run after you when you were walking through the concourse.
Yes. I appreciate it. That's why I don't go through the concourse specifically for that reason.
That's why he's got security with him at all times, Ezzy.
Yeah, Don and Kathy. Yeah. They took care of me, but don't worry about it. But anywho, the Moose in action, 5,000 plus. Folks were getting their hats. So this hat actually specifically. So 3,000 of these.
I like that hat.
Almost enough.
I think I'll take that along with the chocolate bar, Dave. I'll take that hat home too.
You can have it if you want. Anywho, Moose came out on fire against Texas, who of course are leading the Central Division in first place. The Moose were in fourth before today's game, and started off down. They start off great, actually. It was a real good start, out shooting the Texas Stars 5-0. So you really thought the Moose came to play. They were a little lethargic, as Eric Dubois told us today, as on the Saturday morning show, talking about how they were, tired from a long road trip. And of course, had the opportunity to get a couple of days off in between, and looked like they had their legs, but it was the Stars that opened up the scoring. Not the best goal on the power play. Penalty calls were weak today. I mean, and it's interesting. Like I all the goal that was against, it was in the neutral zone. It was just a weird infraction. I think it was Isaac Johnson, just kind of just not a nothing play, and yet somehow it's a penalty, and the Stars get things started. And then the second period was probably one of the most boring second periods you'll ever watch. The first 10 minutes, nothing happened. I mean, it was just like time was running down, but that was it. There was really nothing happening, no flow to the game. And then the Moose did some good things in the neutral zone. Daniel Torgerson, the Jets 2020 second rounder. He gets his fourth of the year, first in about 7 games, to tie the score 1-1. And you're thinking, okay, now the Moose had some momentum and they started to create, except they made a few errors, a few mental mistakes, some standing around. So the Stars ended up taking a 2-1 lead. And then sure enough, the Moose fought back on the power play. And the Stars and the Moose are both very good in terms of power play penalty kill. So Alex Limoges, who had himself a fantastic game, he's the leading scorer for the Manitoba Moose. He tied the game 2-2. And then Tyler Boland, he had his 4th and 5th goals to end the second, start the third. So it looked like the Moose were going to cruise to a win, 4-2 for the Moose. They were up. But the Texas Stars are in first for a reason. Moose, a young team, standing around a little bit, 4-3, 4-all. And in fact, Texas looked like they could have, not the best goals are at home, probably wants at least 3 of those back. I didn't think that it wasn't his strongest game, but it's also his first game in about 6. So he was just kind of getting his legs back under him. And sure enough, appropriately, boys, in the 2000th game, not 2000th TH, but 2000s apostrophe S. Okay. The guy who gets the OT winner was born in 2000, Declan Chisholm. And Declan Chisholm had a fantastic game for the Manitoba Moose, and he scored a beauty
I think
one.
it's because I asked Eric Dubois about him today. That's what I think
must be the case. Yeah.
I think
He's
that's
feeling extra motivated.
That
exactly.
was largely the reason.
He's like, I got to square this for that fat bearded guy that was asking questions to Eric Dubois today.
Yeah.
Ginsburg called me an all-star. I got to show that I truly am an all-star. And Declan Chisholm was actually an all-star. Had a great on.
He's having a great year, Dave. Like, all jokes aside,
yeah.
I mean, he's getting close to breaking through to the NHL level for sure.
Well, he's probably the best defensive prospect that they've got in terms of offense, skating. I mean, he's maybe not as offensively talented. I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I think he's probably as good as Ville Heinola. I mean, you just got to remember, though, the one's a 2018 5th rounder, one's a 2019 1st rounder. And I think that gets one. But I mean, if you ask me, I think Chisholm's ahead of Heinola personally. But again, waiver exempt, as is Ville Heinola. So I think that there's a little more expectation, and want for success. Not to say that they wouldn't want Declan Chisholm to have success. They do, of course. But they also have time, right? Because you don't need him in terms of, you don't need to rush him. And there's not as much, again, you don't have the weight of fans' expectation. The fans in this chat know who Declan Chisholm is. I don't need to explain it to them because they know what's going on. But to the wider audience who don't necessarily pay as close attention to the Manitoba Moose or to prospects, they may not be as aware and may not be as champion at the bit to get Declan Chisholm into the NHL, even though, like I said, his skating is NHL quality, his offense is NHL quality. And to be honest with you, even his defense has improved. I mean, he made one or two bad plays today, but he made a great defensive play with his stick from his stomach to break up a 2-on-1. So he really is an exceptional player and one prospect that is worth watching. And he had a real nice goal to win it in overtime. The nice pass by Alex Limoges. And sure, you know what? It was a good game. Fans, like I said, I think it was the final crowd was like 5,500, but a lot of fun. And the Moose, you got to give the Moose team credit because they had one of those blue screens of death on the
let me interrupt you for a second. So my wife was scrolling through Instagram and saw your picture on Instagram of that blue screen of death. And she thought, and she started laughing. She's like, "Oh my gosh, look what happened!" I'm like, "Sweetie, it was the 2000s game. They did that on purpose. It wasn't like it was just accidentally happened."
Well, just so you know, Laura's not the only one who thought that way because some of the Moose people afterwards were like, "Yeah, people were taking your tweet seriously as if you as if there was a problem with like the projection." And I'm like, "You're joking, right?" And he's like, "No, like seriously, like people were chirping and blah blah blah." And I was like, I'm like, what do I have to like put it out there? Like, I was much more clear. Although I don't know, I thought I was more clear on Instagram saying that, because this is the 2000s game and but regardless, people were taking it very seriously. And people were like, whoa, the Jets, taking shots at the Jets. I was like, I was about to do a tweet and say, guys, this is clearly a joke. And then I'm like, you know what, if I have to do that, I just don't want to tweet anymore. It's just too stupid for words. So anyways, they had fun with it. They did a good job. And now they're feeling good about themselves, and they're going to have to take that on the tomorrow's game. Again, Texas, is going to want to rebound. Yeah. And the Moose aren't going to want to upset Jimmy Olney in his bobblehead night. So Jimmy Olney won't be expected to play. Some of the guys who, were day-to-day, Jansen Harkins, Drew, I'm giving you a little segue there.
Yes.
Cole Meyer and Evan Polai, those guys, none of those guys played. So, but all in all, a good game and a great atmosphere, and the fans had a good time.
So Dave mentioned Jansen Harkins because on 32 Thoughts during the second intermission of the Jets and the Senators, Jeff Merrick mentioned that the Jets are taking calls on Jansen Harkins, and he potentially is going to find a new home to continue his hockey career, which is sort of odd that teams are calling about him. Because
that makes no sense.
He passed through waivers 3 times so far this year, I believe.
Twice.
Only twice? Okay, well, You can get him for free off waivers, folks.
But Drew, I mean, regardless if it's twice or 3 times, the point is you could have got Jansen Harkins for free. And by the way, I'm actually surprised that no one claimed him, to be honest with you. Like,
take a flyer on him. What is it?
Exactly. I mean, you look like even a team like the Senators, like that struggle to score goals.
Bad teams can probably use
San Jose,
him.
right? Like San Jose acquired Mikey Esimont, so maybe they were like,
sense.
Okay, we'll give Chevy a break here. We're not going to acquire a second, Jet forward. I'm joking, obviously, but I mean, I do think that Jansen Harkins can still play in the NHL. He's 25 years old, 26 years old. Like, he hasn't produced, I think, enough offensively, and that's probably one of the main reasons why he's back down with the Moose. But when he's gone back down to the Moose, he's been really good. Dave knows better than anybody, right? But yeah, it was a little bit peculiar that Jeff Merrick said that they're taking calls on Jansen Harkins, because that's not at all, I think, what Jets fans are thinking about right now. I mean, Jets fans are thinking about who the Jets are going to acquire prior to the trade deadline. Like, we're talking top 6 forward, top 4 defensemen, right? So yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe Harkins gets traded, but you got to think that it's probably going to be a mid to late round draft pick that comes back the other way.
Yes, time will tell on that one. Okay,
just quickly, it's very unusual to give to have a guy that you could have acquired for no assets, and thereafter to be calling to acquire him for assets. Like, I mean, it seems, I mean, again, I don't question the decision making that some NHL GMs make. We're witnessing, some of the thought processes behind those thoughts right now out west. So just bizarre. But anyway,
another angle here, Drew, I know you want to get to the contest here, but like another angle is like, if a team is only giving up, let's say, a 6th or 7th round draft pick for Harkins, I mean, are you? I don't know if you're necessarily taking that, considering the Moose need Harkins, Dave.
I don't think you're trading him for a 6th or a 7th.
No, I don't. That's
what I'm saying. Like, and I think that's probably what you're going to be offered. Like, I don't think that if we're talking about, Mike McIntyre of the Free Press reported that, the Hawks would probably be looking for a 2nd or 3rd round pick for Jonathan Toews, like arguably a future Hall of Famer, right? So if we're talking about, Jansen Harkins, again, this is all due respect to Jansen Harkins, I just don't think, you're getting a 2nd round pick or a 3rd round pick, maybe a 4th, maybe a 5th, but most likely it's going to be a late round pick.
You can't even come close to a 4th or 5th if you were going to get him for free.
Yeah, well, right. So I like, if you're Chevy, like, and again, the True North organization, it's not just that they want the Jets to go far in the playoffs. They also want the Moose to go on a long Calder Cup run, and Jansen Harkins is going to be a key piece to that.
And not only that, he's cleared waivers at this point. So
exactly.
You're good.
So I just wouldn't read too much or think too much about that. I mean, Jeff Merrick, obviously, he knows what he's talking about. I just kind of came out of left field.
It's a bit unusual. Like I said, it just doesn't make a lot of. You're right. Why would the Jets? I mean, look, Jansen Harkins in that lineup today makes a big difference. He has a big element for the Moose, and the truth is for the Jets is that you can now call him up. He's cleared waivers,
and that's what I was going to say. You want to have the Jansen Harkins, and you want to have the Dom Toninatos, Kevin Stenlins, like, right? Because once Mason Appleton comes back, Stenlin, I don't know, he probably does stay up, but there's going to be somebody else that possibly gets called down. So we'll see what happens, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jansen Harkins remains a member of the Jets / Moose.
Alrighty, let's do the contest real quick and wrap this show up because we have to do another one in less than 24 hours. Unique code word for the Illegal Curve contest. Again, to enter the Illegal Curve contest, you hit the drop down arrow here on YouTube, or you go to our website illegalcurve.com. You click the contest link. You put in the unique code word. That's how you get entries. You do all those tasks that are there. That's how you get even more entries. We draw your name. You win Illegal Curve. You win merchandise courtesy of us here at Illegal Curve. And at the end of the month, you get entered into a draw to win 2 tickets to the NHL game of your choosing. Dave, the unique code word for tonight is what?
Well, you didn't you come up with it?
No, I didn't put top banana in there. What is that? Did you change the one I came up with?
Oh, I did.
What is top banana?
Top banana, Drew. Thank you for asking. Good question.
Yeah,
Drew.
I came up with a way better one for the record, folks.
Oh, so you're going to insult my family that lives in Ottawa?
Is it your family or is it Jeff Hamilton's family?
Jeff Hamilton's family as well. We're related. Anywho, top banana.
We are definitely floggers on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show and post-game show.
Yeah.
We've been talking about that Jeff Hamilton not being born in Ottawa for, a week now.
Yes, there you go.
What
Top Banana
yeah.
was a grocery store started by my great uncle in Ottawa about 80 years ago. And it was in business for about, till about, I want to say, probably till about 10, 15 years ago. So if you're from the Ottawa area, you may know the Top Banana grocery store chain. There were a number of them from my great uncle Mo, my Baba's brother.
Again, I lived there, and this is the first I've ever heard of Top Banana. So
but you live there. You lived near Parliament Hill. You were one of those little Parliament Hill,
Yeah, you weren't on the ground. You weren't down on the ground shopping at Top Banana.
I don't know. I'm curious where Top Banana was. Maybe I missed out on shopping at Top Banana.
I was also.
I definitely know what you weren't getting in Ottawa was a good piece of rye bread.
No,
there you go.
Very substandard rye bread. There's no question about that. It was a significant part of the reason I moved home to Winnipeg is for the rye bread situation. But
now look at you. Now you're schmoozing it up with chip and pepper. You're schmoozing it up with city rye.
I guess Top Banana is the unique code word for the Illegal Curve contest.
What was your word? What was your word that you had?
My word was Brixton. Because that first, Brixton's is the name of a pub that my wife and I met at and / spent some time at in Ottawa. And of course, my dog's name is Brixton as a result of that. So that was a way better choice because it had a more interesting story than Top Banana, which as far as I'm concerned,
I like Top Banana.
You would. I'm not surprised that you would.
There we go, Big Daddy.
Dave. Yeah. In any event, Top Banana, of course, is the unique code word for
Drew, as long as you don't bring out the banana hammock, I think we're going to be okay.
Who's the contest winner? I'm done with both of you for tonight.
I spent too much time with both of you. Alan Gobert.
Okay, congratulations to Alan.
Yes, Alan Gobert is the winner. Alan is a Winnipegger, I believe. So Ottawa. So not from Ottawa. Sorry, I saw Hay Bailey's thing about Ottawa is a great city, and I agree. It is a great city, very clean. One of the cleanest cities I actually ever was in. But yes, Alan Gobert of Winnipeg, not necessarily the cleanest city because of all the sand and salt and whatever we've got. There we go, Snaku. Snaku knows what time it is. But congratulations to Alan. Alan, you were the
Snooka.
That says Snooka.
I don't know. Well, guys, all we've been doing is snacking, so I have snacks on the brain. Anyways, congrats, Alan, for the big win, and I will be in touch with to get your info, and we'll be getting you some IC merch.
There you go.
Or Jets merch, courtesy of IC.
There you go. Congratulations to Alan Gobert, the winner of tonight's Illegal Curve merchandise contest. Tough Duck, hardest hitting comment, Ezzy. Who is getting that so we can wrap up this debacle of a show and go our separate ways for a few hours at least?
Well, that last comment was a little bit of foreshadowing because we are going to give it to Snooka 2002. I haven't seen Snooka a lot in the chat. It's possible that Snooka has been joining us throughout the season, but either welcome or thank you for watching again. And obviously Jimmy Superfly Snuka was one of my favorite wrestlers back in the day. Everybody remembers what was his move, Drew? Was it a frog? Is that what it's called? Frog splash? It was definitely off the top rope.
He murdered somebody, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you should maybe
I
Google
did not
that.
know that.
Yeah, you
Well,
should
I mean,
maybe-
Drew, I liked him as a wrestler. I didn't like him as a homicidal maniac. I mean, I didn't know that he murdered someone.
Hang on, allegedly murdered somebody. I want to
Yeah,
make sure.
Drew,
that
what are
we're
you
not gonna
doing?
get
I mean,
sued.
Drew,
Opening
you've
us up to
also allegedly
liability.
murdered someone. So, but yeah. Anyways, I like Jimmy Snuka as a wrestler. He
Yeah,
was a
thank you for
popular guy
qualifying it
in the late '80s, early '90s. This was the comment. This was 27. Obviously, Ehlers. He's talking about, or she's talking about, first game where he looked like his old self. He had good chemistry with his line mates. He was playing instincts which worked. He's back, and we didn't even get into this, boys, but the Schwieler's line is back, right? Like, didn't think like we were going to be talking about that, but Scheifele, Wheeler, and Ehlers reunited. We'll see if that sticks. They were good tonight. Obviously, Dave and I talked about this at length this morning on the IC Hockey Show. I mean, Connor Dubois Ehlers
Was I not there?
I was like,
no,
yeah.
no, you were there. Of course, you were there, Drew. But
It was more of a dialogue.
Connor
between Nancy and
Dubois
I.
Ehlers was
Okay.
Dave and I were going back and forth. What we were basically saying, if you weren't able to join us, was that we expect it to go back to Connor Dubois Ehlers at some point. But regardless, Snuka 2002, regardless of Jimmy Superfly Snuka murdered someone, I liked him as a wrestler.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Send me an email, Ezra, EZRA, at illegalcurve.com, or slide into my DMs at ICSEG, and Tough Duck will ship out a toque to you next week.
There you go. Congratulations to Snuka 2002. Congratulations to all the winners here on the Illegal Curve
You're all
post-game show.
winners.
We're going to do it again tomorrow night, 8:45.
By the way, the Ice are up
p.m.
2-0 over the Warriors.
There you go. The
After
Ice
two.
are winning. So the Ice are winning. The Jets win. The Moose win. Good things happening for the teams in Winnipeg.
2 IC shows. That makes you guys all winners.
There you go. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, leave us feedback both on YouTube and, of course, on our iTunes page. Tell your friends, tell your family the best place to be after each and every Winnipeg Jets game. And again, on Saturday mornings is the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. Big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. Frosty Winnipeg, are you ready? Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club next week at Rumors. Kevin Farley. Tickets are available, rumorscomedyclub.com. And yes, that is Chris Farley's brother. Linden Market Dental Center. Zappia
He was in
Group-
Curb Your Enthusiasm many years ago.
Yes, he was. Exactly right, Dave. Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Big thanks to you for joining us. Big thanks to Dave Minuk. Big thanks to Ezra Ginsburg. I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Until tomorrow night at 8:45 p.m., we wish you good night and good luck. And thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.